straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's kickstart with proceedings today. Now the weekend is here and what a busy week it's been. The Asian Games in Hangzhou is on full throttle. It's almost the midway stage there. And medals continue to come for India. China, of course, leading the race with close to 100 gold medals. And in India, the Cricket World Cup fever is beginning. Warm-up matches have begun. The World Cup is upon us. So let's get you a sneak peek of what's in store. Here's our lineup for the day. The warm-up matches have started. Across cities in India, all teams are getting their last-minute jigs in place for the big one. Last evening, all countries locked in their final World Cup squads. And look who's made a comeback. We said it first here on Firstpost. Our Ashwin seals a spot in the Indian squad. We have an exclusive interview with the youngest member of the Women's Asian Games cricket gold medal winning team. Just turned 19 today, Titas Sadhu, the pacer in the Indian cricket team, speaks to us. And as always, our eyes are on the Asian Games. In our attempt to get to know it a little better, we take a closer look at a sporting discipline that's made its debut at the Asian Games this time. What's the fuss about esports? More on that on the show. And of course, we continue our watch on some of the hits and misses in Hangzhou. All right, that and more coming your way. But here's what's making all the headlines from around the world in Sports 360. The World Cup is knocking on the doors. Australia have also made last-minute changes to their World Cup squad. Marnus Labuschagne has been called up by Australia. He will replace Ashwin, who has been ruled out due to a calf injury. In football, police officials raided Spain's Football Federation headquarters. This was after authorities launched an investigation into corruption and bribery allegations. Prosecutors filed a complaint over alleged illegal payments made to referees by the Spanish Federation, spanning almost 2 decades. La Liga club Barcelona has also been named as a suspect in the investigation. Over at the Asian Games, the Indian men's team won gold in the 50-meter rifle 3-position event. Aishwarya Pratap Singh, Tomar, Swapnil Kusale and Akhil Shioran also broke the world record for the highest score of 1,769 points. China took silver and South Korea finished third for bronze. In mixed doubles tennis, Rohan Bopanna and Rutuja Bhosle have made it to the Asian Games final. Yes, in men's doubles, though, tennis India has won silver. They had to settle for silver. The Indian duo of Sakit Maineni and Ramkumar Ramanathan lost to their Chinese Taipei counterparts 4-6, 4-6. Meanwhile, India beat Japan 4-2 in men's hockey in their group encounter. Abhishek scored a double for India and they will play the big one, Pakistan, on Saturday. And staying with some tennis news, Alex de Minaur advanced to the second round of the China Masters. Australia's de Minaur beat England's Andy Murray 6-3, 5-7, 7-6. De Minaur was trailing 3-5 in the third set but rallied back to pull off the win. His next match will take place on Saturday. All right, let's begin with cricket. The World Cup is almost here. All the teams finalized their squads last evening. And like we said it here first, off-spinner, all-rounder, our Ashwin has made it to India's World Cup squad. He has come in place of Akshar Patel, who's yet to recover from his hamstring injury. In fact, just last week, we said our Ashwin would definitely make it to the Indian squad. Here's what some of our experts have to say about Ashwin's inclusion and what he brings in to the mix.
I think Ashwin's presence in a dressing room is invaluable. I mean, he is someone who thinks 360 degrees when he's part of a cricket match, and he's quite ahead of the game as far as his thought process is concerned. At least, well, I used to talk to him. That is the feeling I got. So having Ashwin in the change room is always going to be beneficial, no matter which team it is.
In terms of how Ashwin has been bowling and how he bowled in the last game as well, I think there's no question whether or not he can do a job for you.
All right. We know that is going to be crucial for the days that's leading up to the World Cup, especially for India. But all teams, including India, are getting ready to put their final tweaks in place ahead of the tournament that begins on the 5th of October. This especially with almost every country being hit by injuries. That's the reason why R. Ashwin also came in. It's not just thrown a lot of their plans out of the window, but with an ODI World Cup only coming in once in 4 years, it's a big blow for anyone who's worked towards this glorious moment in their careers. So let's look at those who have been unfortunately sidelined and how does it affect the sides with injuries and which teams have been affected by this. Here's a list of those ruled out of the World Cup. Now we'll start with Sri Lanka. Waninda Hasaranga, of course, Waninda Hasaranga out with a hamstring injury. We know he's such a handy all-rounder. We've seen how impactful he can be with the bat and ball. He's out. So is Dushmanta Chamira. Pectoral muscle injury, also injured during IPL and failed to recover post that. Now, if the list continues, we look at Pakistan. Naseem Shah. That's the big blow. It was key for Pakistan's campaign to have him in the unit. His absence will be surely felt. Let's look at the next side. Bangladesh. Now here again, 2 injuries and 2 players out with injuries. One, of course, is Ebadat Hossain. The pacer picked up a knee injury against Afghanistan in July, had a knee surgery in August. Tamim Iqbal, of course, on paper says he's out due to injuries, though he claims that he's fit to come back. He's had a foul out, he's had a few differences with the board, and he's pulled out of the tournament himself. Going on, if we look at the next set of players who are missing, this is a big one and someone we're not really too surprised with. Jofra Archer, though he is travelling as reserve, we know that he's very injury prone. He's just come back. Even though we know he's travelling, how many games will he feature and how much will England really pen their hopes or put their plans around his appearance in the 11? And of course, this is the one that hurts India the most, Akshar Patel. He was key, especially as an all-rounding asset. He has not recovered from his hamstring injury just yet that he picked up very recently in the series against Australia. And speaking of Australia, if we look at the next set of injuries, Ashton Agar, again, someone who in fact made his debut in the Australia A side in India. That'll be a big miss. A calf injury he picked up earlier this month, and sadly that's the reason why he's not been included. Travis Head, by the way, again, has been injured, but he's still included in the squad. They're looking for him to come back from recovery. And if we look at New Zealand, Michael Bracewell, of course, missing out on due to a right Achilles heel. He got injured during June and couldn't take part. And if we just sort of wrap up the list of injuries and move on, that's a big one. Again, another pacer ruled out. That is Andrik Noke, one of the most experienced hands for South Africa. He experienced back spasms recently in the ODI series against Australia, and he's been ruled out. So too Sisanda Magala, another pacer who's out because of a knee injury. Now, all the sides are, of course, gearing up for the World Cup. And the warm-up matches, as we know, have become critical. Now, in terms of getting used to the conditions, that's what is key for them. And that's why these warm-up matches are important. They can tweak their combinations or just seeing how players returning from injuries fare. And that's the case across a lot of teams. Warm-up matches are not played traditionally like your full international games. Here, you can test out your squad strength. You can pull out a batter who's scored considerably enough number of runs to put someone else in who needs some match time. You can bring in additional bowlers to get their arms rolling and get them warmed up to get used to the humid conditions that India is currently experiencing at this time. So tomorrow, there are of course a couple of warm-up matches lined up. India will play England in Guwahati and Australia plays Netherlands in Thiruvananthapuram. Now that's what the weekend will look at. That's the fixtures then. And our build-up for the World Cup will begin from Monday. You have to tune in for our World Cup programming special, which is the Cup of Dreams, where we will get you analysis, some inside peeks, and all the makeup of the different teams, some key interviews, all of that and more. Our build-up here at Firstpost will continue. So do keep latched on to Firstpost for all of that. Now, staying with cricket. The Asian Games men's event is underway in Hangzhou. The women's event concluded just some days ago, with India beating Sri Lanka in a tough final. Now, one of the key members of that outfit, who's also the Under-19 World Cup champion, is 19-year-old Titas Sadhu, a World Cup winner. And she celebrated her birthday today too. So joining me on My Cup segment today is the birthday girl herself, Titas Sadhu from Kolkata. Happy birthday, Titas, and thank you for joining in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now first questions I have to ask you, what is it like? What's the feeling like winning a gold?
I mean, the best part was we never thought that we won't win it.
Yeah.
So, and it was incredible, right? Because we get to play for the Indian team, Indian cricket team. But rarely we get the chance to represent our country as a whole, and to add to the tally of the medals is an incredible feat.
Right. Now, when everyone normally, all kids here in India or elsewhere, when they asked who do you want to be, they always end up saying they want to be a batter or they look up to a batter. It's very few who want to end up being a bowler. Why then bowling, Titas?
I mean, the fact that I didn't become a cricketer because I wanted to become like someone who represents the country. I just wanted to have fun, right? And I enjoyed playing because all my friends were at the academy and will enjoy. And I had enrolled myself in the academy when it was raining, and I couldn't do cricket practice for like a solid 3 months. So I just went there for fun. We used to play footy and everything, yeah. So it was always because of that enjoyment, and because of that enjoyment was there. Later on, when competition came in, you get that competitive spirit. You want to do good, you want to perform, and then that interest starts blooming inside of you. Yeah.
Right, but it is a short career span so far. You have many more years to go. But so far, if I had to ask you to pick one memorable moment, what would it be?
So this is last February during the Under 19 World Cups. We had lost the match against Australia, and the next match we had playing was crucial, and it was again against Sri Lanka. And I remember when I was going to the field, Mushin ma'am, who was our head coach then, had told me, take the charge. That's all she had said. And coincidentally, first ball I get a wicket. And that just sort of set the tone for the whole match, and we came victorious with flying colors, and we went on to play the semis.
Yes, and also I wanted to ask you, you being a World Cup winner, that's immense. How many can say that in the country? What was it like lifting the Under 19 World Cup?
I think one of the most memorable was uh, so we were sitting in the dugout, and some 14 runs was left, I think. And it's like it dawns on you, like, okay, we are winning this. There's no way we are losing this, actually, right? And we were like almost in tears because we had worked so hard. We had actually worked for so long for that. We literally, I mean, that year was very stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine the pressure, especially on a lot of your colleagues and senior colleagues, in fact, Titas. But if I had to ask you about, being in that dressing room, some moments that you've shared, or how is it like to sort of be around these women? What would you say?
I mean, especially when you come into a new atmosphere, right? It's not because it's the Indian team. It's because like even going to a new school, it's scary because you don't know anyone and you don't know what to expect. And rather you know exactly what to expect, which is most of the time wrong. And you have this like made of personalities of them in your head, because that's how you look at them, right? You look at them in a higher ground because they have achieved so much, and you're not wrong for looking at it like that. But they are just like, but when you interact with them, you get to know, okay, they're not aliens. And that is the beautiful part about cricket, right? You get to enjoy that feeling so many times. You meet so many people and so many incredible athletes that every time you'll be like, okay, so they're God. And then you talk to them and you're like, wow. And most of them are humble and such nice people, like beautiful people.
Yeah, but then tell us if you have an anecdote or something that a moment that you shared where, like what you say, your preconceived notions sort of changed. Tell us a bit about that.
I remember we were sitting, so I had taken my lunch, and there was not really a lot of space left, and I had to sit with Harry, and I was like, okay, so it's gonna be an awkward lunch. I'm gonna eat, and I'm not gonna talk a single word. And then she started talking, and then we chatted, and we were having fun. We were throwing around jokes, and I was like, okay, so yeah, I shouldn't have stressed this much.
Yeah, well, that's a relief, and that's quite an interesting little story as well, Titas. But you know, when you speak about fast bowlers, particularly everywhere, there's always this sense of aggression that comes across and comes that's associated with every one of them. You don't seem that way.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially during shoots and stuff, right? They want you to be like, beat up. I can't. I just can't. It's just not me. The end of the day, you are just who you are, and obviously, I have shown aggression in ground, and like it happens. It is not something you can force. I believe I am aggressive in my own way.
Nice, that's good to hear. But also, during the times that you've spent, who are the batters whom you've loved to go up against, or whom you've loved facing or bowling to?
Um, so there was this no, it was a senior T20 trophy. That was the first time I had played the senior T20 trophy, and we had like stalwarts, right? We had Punjab and we had Haryana and Mumbai. So I had bowled to Jemmy, and I had bowled to Shifali. So it was like, obviously I was 17. So it was like, for the first time, me looking at them so close, and I'm getting the opportunity to bowl. And that is probably when you get to gauge yourself, like how far I am from them and what I have to do to reach there. So that was a very crucial tournament for me.
Yes, and there's many more places and many more levels that you have to pass and cross, which we show you will. But if I had to ask you who your inspiration is, or someone you look up to, a role model, who would you say that is, Titas?
I mean, I did watch a lot of Pat Cummins and Shami bowling, and I still do. But I think the first time I had debuted for the senior team Bengal, I had debuted under Rumili Dhar, and when I had seen her for the first time, and it wasn't a good debut for me. And most of the time, I was in the sidelines watching. And the way I had seen her, the passion she still has for cricket is phenomenal. And when I looked at her play, and I had that, like, if I want to play, I want to play like her.
Wow, that is quite emotional and impressive as well. And Titas, wish you a very, very happy birthday once again, and wishing you more laurels to come.
You're welcome.
All right, now let's move on to our Decode section today. And this one is something I've started thinking and things I've taken some interest in. And you will if you absolutely love sports and grew up playing video games. We're talking about esports, not to particularly alienate the Gen Z here. But some of us grew up on video games that probably a lot of the teenagers would find unfamiliar, like Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Doom later on, and more. But it's important to mention all of this because the cornerstone of video gaming was laid way back in the 1950s. Technological progress in the 90s made video gaming a sport for the masses. Increasingly, better hardware, graphics, and expansion of the internet has only fueled not just the coolness of the games, but also the level of interest. Now let's look at how and where esports began, shall we now? It began in the 1960s with the space game Space War, the world's first computer game, and is one of the most important games of all time. This is the OG. On to the 70s, the age of the arcades and home consoles. Introduction of Magnavox Odyssey in 1972. It was the first gaming console that could be connected to our television set. That was massive. Arcades were also subsequently established, which made it possible for the public to go there, pay and play. The 80s, the beginning of high score list. Now the bragging rights for gamers, that's the big one, right? You could set high scores with your name to it, leaving a stamp in some sense of your victory behind. Two machines, Asteroid and Starfire, arrived, which could let gamers immortalize their name codes against their scores. The 90s came with better technology sets in the birth of Nintendo. The Nintendo World Championships in the USA in 1900 was a key moment in the evolution of sports. The games were Super Mario Brothers, Rad Racer, and Tetris. This was the decisive turning point in esports. It became clear that future of competitive gaming would be on PCs and in the network. Games such as Doom, Quake, Unreal are now part of esports history. As a result of this, the first Esports League was formed towards the late 1900s. Electronic Sports League, or clan base, which was launched in 1998, bringing in the era of 2000s, which is worldwide networking. Developments in South Korea ensured the next phase, which is World Cyber Games, were held in Seoul in 2000. The first Electronic Sports World Cup took place in 2003, with the grand final conducted in Paris. And now esports has made its way to the Asian Games. Get that. And what a spectacle it's proving to be.
Now let's shift our focus to the virtual world, where things are going beyond our realm of control. Well, almost. Esports, the newest discipline that's being featured at the Asian Games, has drawn thousands of spectators. And if you think it doesn't take as much skill or rigorous training like other sports, like rowing or wrestling or even chess, think again. The 2023 Asian Games in Hangzhou include 7 esports. Arena of Valor Asian Games version, Dota 2, Dream 3 Kingdoms 2, FC Online, League of Legends, Peace Elite Asian Games version. Esports made their debut as a demonstration in the 2018 edition of the Asian Games. That's where they gained a lot of traction, interest and eyeballs. This time, teams from over 30 countries are taking part, consisting of at least 500 gamers. You'd think it's all about a bunch of geeks hammering away at the controls being watched by thousands, but think again, and give this a listen. Esports have a very niche following, and curiously, that's what makes them so popular. There's a clamour for tickets for this discipline. It's been reported that at least 5,000 seats will be sold out for nearly every esports session in Hangzhou. And the best part is the arena and the energy that comes with the esports. The newly built esports center in fact almost resembles a futuristic alien spaceships, with neon lights illuminating the arena. Talk about a dream Asiad sporting venue. And organizers are surely raking in the money. The starting ticket price for a game is $54.80. That's almost 8 times more than what it would cost someone to watch a football game. The costliest esport ticket at the Asian Games is, hold your breath, over $137. We could probably relax and watch the action on a TV screen near us. Or, better yet, get inspired to take up esports.
Well, that atmosphere is magnetic at the esports there. Quite a craze. Now, we've come to the end of this show, but as always, now that you're used to this, we leave you with something that we call the last serve, a parting shot of some sense. Now, it's a visual that we sort of almost associate with the Indian cricket's net sessions, a puppy invasion. Take a look. Well, that is adorable. In fact, I've been to so many stadiums here in the country, and almost every venue have their own in-house puppy family, and they've named them, and it's close to almost the entire cricket team that keep visiting. But thank you so much for joining in here and watching Firstpost. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast today, and have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday.